Good evening and welcome back. So, let's see, what did I do here? I think the first thing I did is change the lighting in this level. Let's find it, it's somewhere back here. And another thing I changed is the town. Did a bit of work on the town. Yeah, we have those lights in here. Those light props. There's still one issue with the setup, and that is that we have the fog in here and we have lighting from the directional light in it, which is not that good because it results in this room being kind of lit from below. Looks like that, at least. And as a result, it's not that dark as I want it to be. But it's a setting we can tweak in the post-process volume. You can change the exposure and all that stuff to make it a bit darker. Problem is it will make all the lights darker, which is kind of annoying. I tried to build this box around it, but it completely ignored the box. I'm not sure why. And another thing I did was here in town. Let's load up town. Didn't do much of a visual change on it, but it's more of a performance change that I did here. Let's see if you can show that somehow. Yeah, if I click on these, you can see what I changed. I changed those to instanced pieces. And if we go here, we can see we have only 693 actors in contrast to over 4,000 or so. I'm not quite sure. We had a lot of actors in here, and I reduced that a lot, and it runs better, but at the moment there's one big problem with the whole setup. If I go here, I can show you what it is. First issue is, okay, shaders need to compile. So we need to wait a moment. Okay, if we go to new game, we are teleported to the tutorial level. We can customize the character. Let's reset all those values to the ones that I had at start. And let's just run through this. Here you can see it's a bit too light and we get those dark areas here. These shadows. And this is almost lit up. So we don't need the light crystal in here per se, which is kind of defeats the purpose of the room. go through here, do all this. I also changed the switch here, so we have better graphic and feedback for that as well. So we talk to this guy, let's get this over with, and we step into this. Get a small loading screen, and here, not quite sure why I'm ending up on that bridge up there, but here it loaded in properly, but on the build it didn't. So if I open up the build, it takes a moment to load the starting map. It's also something I need to look into, if I can add some kind of splash screen to this before the level is even loaded. So let's do a new game, run through this again. And now it tries to load the level we want to jump into, but it loads it not fast enough. So we are falling through the world, and that's a game breaking issue. So I need to fix that. And I had a similar issue with the tutorial level, so jump to the tutorial level, so I know how to fix it, but it could cause other issues. So for instance, if I open up this, let's have a look. Here we are just adding the main menu widget, and we are doing the teleportation here, which is okay, but not what I wanted to show. Let's jump into the main menu. And let's see. So on new game, going through all the new game stuff, and here I needed to change a thing. I needed to add, hello, I needed to add in I needed to get the streaming level that I wanted, and then I needed to disable distance streaming, and if it is if it is loaded, then I want to unload it. If it's not, I want to load it. So in this case, it shouldn't be loaded, so we are loading it. And then it automatically takes us. Sound is awful? How? And in what regard is the sound awful? Thing is, I have a new mic and I'm not quite sure if it's configured properly. Is it too low? Is it too loud? Is it um, crackling in the background? I'm not sure. Okay. I'm not sure if I can boost this. Let's see. Let's check these. These here. This is already at maximum, and I can't do anything more there. And on OBS it's also at maximum. Let's see, no filters here. Add a gain filter and see if that is doing anything. Is it better now? Is it louder? Or is the static just louder? That's louder, okay. Let's see, maybe I can... Let's see if we can add another filter to that. Noise whatever. And let's see. Is that better static wise, or is it the same or worse? Static's gone. That sounds good. I just added a few filters in OBS and it seems to be better, at least from what I can see of the levels here. I don't have any knowledge of proper sound mixing and all that stuff. I just added filters and put them at standard values. I didn't need to do that for the other mic because it was a bit better, but this one was cheap and seems to be working. Okay, so shall I make it louder again, or is it is the volume okay now? Volume is okay. Okay, good. I mean, I'm maybe 5 centimeters away from the microphone, so that's something I need to I needed to rearrange my desk slightly. So let's see. So this is loading the background question or tutorial level. Some weird sound, I don't know what this looks like. Constantly or sometimes? Yeah, it could be that there's still static. Oh, that's the PC. It's running. That's my computer, I think. Those are the fans on my computer. Nothing much I can do about those. I hope it's not too loud and too annoying. So, I'm not sure if anything else is vibrating around here. Don't think so. Okay. So we basically need to do something similar for the other levels. So we need to check where we are doing this. I think it's in the here. Okay. Yeah, it could be that it's picking up vibrations from the desk, and I might need to get another way to have the microphone hanging on top of the desk and not standing on it, and it could pick up vibrations from that. I looked for those mic arms, but I didn't pick up one yet. So let's have a look. Because it wasn't mine. That's the biggest issue with it. It belonged. It belongs to my brother, and he wanted to have it back. That's the thing. Good morning. How are you? So, yeah, I think I just need to. I'm fine. Slightly tired, but apart from that, fine. Yeah, there are different time zones, and for some people it's morning, for other people it's evening. That happens. So, where are you at? A night. Where are you from? So, we need to disable distance streaming and then load this level in. And not main, but oh, what's the name of it? This is XO Ooh. Nice. Nice. I can show you how not to do behavior trees in a moment, but give me a second. I just want to try to fix the issue I have here. Then I can show you my behavior trees. And there's probably a better way to work with those. So let's load this in. Okay, so we disable distance streaming and we load this level in. And then we do this, which is setting the game time back to my start time, and then we remove the loading screen from there. Then I think we should also start in the right position, so I might not need to do this here, because there's a level start in this level here. So let's see if we can get around this, because I don't like these coordinates. These are horrible. So let's cut this part out. And see if that works. And once the level is loaded in and we are moved, we should set this back to distance streaming. Let's try that. So, new game, we jump in here. Start game, run through this. Pull switch. And see if that's working. Nope. That's not working at all. That's not good. Okay, it's not moving us to the right position, so we might need to do that horrible teleportation here. Yeah, me too. It's just game dev. So let's do this. But let's do it here. Just don't bother with any items here. Only grab the key that we need. And speedrun this. Come on. Yay! And here we go. Okay. So that worked. Good, 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 good. The thing is, I have the town loaded. Let's unload the town and try that again. Because I had this loaded in the editor and I'm not quite sure if that helped maybe. So let's try this again. I don't need any of these because the lighting is broken here. Come on, pick that up. And see. Yep, okay. So that definitely fixed it. Now I need to check something else. Need to check if it's unloaded properly. Come on. So I need to find a spot here. Let's see. We should be able to get up there. Okay, it's still there. Oh, I can't get through there. Oh, an RPG. That's a lot of work. I mean, I'm only. Let me just cut the sound here a bit. Oh, damn it. Apply audio settings. Close menu. Resume. I only have an adventure game here. I don't have any stats, any health, different attributes and all that stuff. No fighting. So it's basically only the world that's RPG-like in here. All the rest is not. Okay, so it unloaded this properly, so it works. That's good. Okay, you can ignore those for the moment. So that level teleporting is fixed. So let's have a look. Let's load the town again. And let's have a look at my AI. So the first thing is we have the AI character. And in here, I don't know, that's different. Let's see, initialize. And I also have the village AI controller. And the village AI controller is holding all the data that goes into the blackboard. The moment it's not doing much else, apart from maybe setting this. But let's have a look in our behavior tree here. So, the first thing in the behavior tree is the root node. That's always there. Then, for this, I'm using a selector which will select different conditions that I'm calling in this service in here. And the service looks quite complicated, but if we break it down, it's not really. It's just checking, are we talking? So it's checking our village AI controller, check if it's talk. Trigger is true. If that's not the case, it is checking if we can see the player, which doesn't work 100%ly all the time. And then we are setting different states here, which is just an enum. Here I'm checking for a specific time, and I'm checking morning, evening, because I have a day-night cycle and also schedule for each character, basically. And I'm checking against that, just to determine if they are sleeping or if they are idle. And if I go here, I have this based condition, and I'm checking if we are talking to the player, then this should happen. If we are seeing the player, it should rotate, which doesn't work. And if we are sleeping, we are just waiting. And then here, if we are idle, so if my state key is equal to idle, which I can set here, then I'm checking for the next part of the behavior tree, basically. And here I am checking, similar to this before, I'm checking time, and then I'm setting if we are getting ready for work or getting ready for bed, basically. Those are the two states I'm checking against here. And the rest of the different states I'm changing here. So for this, I'm just waiting 5 seconds, and then I'm changing the state ready for work. Later I want to have this so that the character has different clothing in the night than in the day, different clothing for work or free time, something like that, so that they switch clothing or that they lie down in bed, get up from bed, and something like that. But it's all not in yet. But at the end of whatever I'm doing here, I'm changing the state to ready for work. And this will go over here. And then it will check if we are at work location. Basically, that's the commute to work. Here they are going to work. They check if they are at work location. If that's not the case, they go here. They find a pass point, walk to that, and then increase the index. And what they're doing there is follow these white spline lines here. Each character has its own spline that it walks along, or it takes the spline points as waypoints on its way to work, basically. It's not 100%ly following the spline, but taking the waypoints, the spline points as waypoints. And for each of the points, it increases the count. So if I go in here, I have the spline point index in here that I'm increasing every time. And then it finds a new point, and once we are at the end of this, so if we are at the end of our spline points, I am setting that we reached the work location. I'm setting this to true, and the behavior tree here notices, okay, we are at work location, so we can do something here. In this case, just change the state. So I'm having a state machine inside the behavior tree, basically. And I'm changing the idle state to at work. And then every time it goes back up here, check what this is, what state we are in, and then it jumps to this. So the idle state key is equal to at work. And then we go here. And here I have two different behaviors for them. One is patrol, where we set a defined path along different waypoints, or if it's a random path. And I'm not quite sure. I think there was some issue with my patrol pass at some point. I'm not 100% sure if that works again. I need to check that, but for these, I have these waypoints here. Just a work location. It's just an actor that I have defined as a location to walk to, basically. In this case, this is one of these random points because it doesn't have a next stop defined. If I go over here, these have next stops defined in here and are for patrol passes for guards. So let's jump back in here. So this is what they are doing all the time. Then we are still going back here and check if we are between work start and work end. And if that's the case, so if it's time for the work to end, they are getting ready for bed. That's those two things we had in here. So here we checked if it's morning, if it's between morning and work start to set us getting ready for work. And here if it's between work end and evening, we are getting ready for bed. So getting ready for bed is basically the opposite of this one, because here we are we get the last pass point that we walk to back to the splines. Now we walk the spline in reverse basically. So he should go back the same way he came to work and then reach the home location at the end of it. But the thing is, I have one tree, one class that does everything for me. And that's what every NPC should do in the world. The only difference between those two is what they are doing here. That's the only difference. The rest, they should all do. The split into different archetypes would happen in here. When they're at work, I could split into different archetypes and run specific behavior trees there if I wanted to. But at the moment, this is what all my NPCs should do all the time. And I can easily switch to another behavior tree in here. So if we are at work, I can tell them, go to that behavior tree, do that if you are a guard. But then on the guard tree, I need to tell him to go back to this standard tree. Or I need to copy a lot of the base stuff into different trees, and I'm not sure I need to do that. Let me show you how this looks in game. Oh, wait. Ah, damn it, it's not loading the town if I do that. Okay, let's jump into town real quick. To speed run to town. Yeah, it's working. So at the moment it's 6 in the morning around. Yeah, there's always. So they are going around here. For instance, the merchant is going to her place of work. With a few detours here. And the guard is patrolling. So all that stuff works. And she followed the spline I laid out for her. And now she's at her place of work. And if we watch her a bit, she should move around on those waypoints I set for her here. If we are not distracting her with standing in her field of vision. And this guard here is going to work. This guard is going home. Yeah, and he's following the spline back home. I just noticed that my changes I made on the hair are kind of broken for the characters, for the NPCs. Or I haven't set the right hair colors for them. Because they all seem to be blonde. Which is not what I had intended for them. Not just following the splines, they're also these up here follow the patrol points, and they only follow the splines when they go from their home to their place of work and back. Otherwise, they are not following the splines at all. They go randomly about. As you can see with these guys here, they are just walking around here. Even though there's something strange. Cause... Oh, yeah, I know. This guy was a gardener earlier and I haven't set him up properly. That's why he's running around the marketplace here. Yeah, and this this setup here, they are basically the same. Yes, that's true. What's going on here? Okay, this is the guard that was stuck up here, and now she's on her way to work. And reacting to something the player is doing and all that stuff is not in yet. But from the tree, this stuff should happen. So if the player is visible, they should stop. And if the... So what they're doing here, they should face the player and wait. So if I'm standing in front of them, that's superseding everything that's happening in here. So if I step in their way, they are stopping what they're doing. And if I talk to them, they should also stop what they are doing. But here I have a few setup issues to do all this stuff here properly. So I should just let them wait for a moment. Kind of, yes. So for instance, this guy here, he stopped what he was doing when I stepped in front of him. If I'm going away, then he's doing his walking to different points in the room and stand there for a moment. Not yet. Not yet. But there will be. What I want to do first is have them do an animation in a specific location they're in and have all that stuff working. And then I can go back to they spot the player or the player is doing something in an area around them that they notice, and then you can get into trouble. But first I need to do the groundwork for that behavior. But definitely I want to be able to get into trouble. I want to be able to find a spot around the shops or the market here and have the player wait for a moment where no one is looking, picking up coins. If someone is looking, you should get a remark and get in trouble for that, basically. And if there's a guard about and you run around with a weapon, you should get in trouble and stuff like that. Even though there's no fighting in the game, like I said earlier at some stream, you will be able to pick up weapons and run around with them, arm yourself basically, and get different reactions from the guards and from NPCs. But that's not in yet. I haven't programmed that in yet. But that's planned for the game at some point. Yeah, that's why I said I can, if the guard is at work, I can switch to another behavior tree. So this patrol here would be something different. For instance, what I'm doing in here is just checking what kind of occupation the NPC has. In this case, if it's a guard. Otherwise, it's not doing this at all. And if I go here, I can switch to another behavior tree. And then have another completely complicated behavior happening with my guards in a completely different behavior tree. And just have the other behavior tree check for the time, and if it's time to stop working, if you're not pursuing the player, for instance, then go back to the other tree. And then it jumps back to the old behavior tree and do all the stuff in here. I can do that for all my different occupations that I have in there. Jump to specific trees and do specific things there. And that's how I want to handle that later. At the moment, it's just do a patrol or pick random points. But for instance, I want to have the cook play specific animations in specific spots. Or the barmaid have interactions with people in the bar and stuff like that. So they would call their own behavior trees if they are at work. If they are not at work, they just do the other stuff. But at the moment, it's not in yet. That's stuff that will come later at a point. Howdy, TJ Fio. Sorry if I butcher your name in any way. Okay. So, did I change anything? Yeah, I did. Minor changes here. Let's save this and close all these. I've been working in Unreal in this project since October 2016, so about 2 years. but there's a lot of the engine I have not touched yet. I haven't done anything with particles. I have not really um, dived into the animation things you can do in the engine. Um, I just recently um, looked at the what's it called? Um, the Anim blueprint, and there are a lot of things that I have no idea about. Oh, interesting. That's something I also have no idea about. I have no idea about sound design and all that stuff, so that's one of the areas I have absolutely no idea how to work with it. So, for instance, I bought the music for the game, and it's way too loud in some areas, and the sounds are not. I'm using as some of them are just engine sounds that I repurposed. So basically, the pickup sound is the compile success sound I'm using. So a lot of stuff in here that's not what it's supposed to be. And sounds are a real issue I will have at some point, I think. I either need to buy a huge sound pack and put those in, or hire someone to do proper sounds for me. Problem is, I don't have a budget for both of those, so that's kind of the big issue I have with the whole project. There's no budget. Yay! So, for instance, the background music is way too loud. Okay, I bought sounds for the doors, but the pickup sound is the engine success sound. Engine compile success or something like that. So everyone who knows a bit about um, Unreal Engine will notice that sound. So I definitely need to change it at some point. Then we have this. This sound here is definitely it kind of fits, but it feels kind of wrong if I hear it louder if it's behind me. And another big issue will be voiceovers and all that stuff. But that's more of a money thing. I'm not familiar with the Spyro games because I didn't really have a console when growing up, so I mostly played games on the Amiga and then jump to PC directly. So I'm not sure about the sounds there. But the thing is, the the pickups are supposed to be kind of dematerializing and turning into magic and flowing towards the player. So I need some kind of magic-y sound when I'm picking up stuff. I'm not quite sure what it will be like, but I just need to play around. Yeah. Yes. The Amiga 500, yes. Let's see if this will get us muted. Interesting. Yeah, but all these small, um, yeah, I noticed that kind of crystal chimey like, um, in giving sound blown by the wind or something like that. It's an interesting idea for portals, yeah. Oh, speaking of portals, hey, um, I do have a. It's also an standard content sound, but I'm using an explosion sound for the teleportation. It's not really a character customizer. It's more of a um, pick your colors. There's no real other customization than just pick colors. Yeah, okay. You're right there. What I want to do at some point is also have the ability to change the clothing colors, but it's this is something I need to change the textures here for this to work. How advanced do you want to make it? Black Desert advanced or Skyrim advanced? Because that's a huge difference. Oh, okay. Um, but you know the character customization in Black Desert, where you um can pick up parts of the face and move that around and completely change the bone structure on the face. Apparently, that's really awesome, but also quite advanced. Eve on, yeah, Eve Online is doing something similar to Black Desert, as far as I remember. Last time I saw it, even though I haven't played both of those games, I just watched videos of the character customization because I love that stuff. But both Black Desert and EVE Online are nothing that no games that I really would play, to be honest. Yeah, that's true. Definitely. Um, Join me on Discord. Link should be below the stream or there, and then we can talk there. Oh, there's a cooldown on the commands, so. But not when I'm streaming. And we need to check time differences and stuff like that because I have to go to work in the mornings. So if there's too much of a time difference, then private chats will be only on weekends. Um, I'm not sure how to set this up properly so it's not breaking everything. Because I have really no idea how sound works sometimes. Let me see if I can do this somehow. Yes, I'm using OBS and this is Discord. Let's see. Wait, I just noticed that my desktop audio was off for some reason. It's not good. Properties. Okay. But I'm using the Streamlabs OBS, so not the normal OBS. Um, oh no, that will Discord will not work properly for that because for Discord I have set up my headset and the headset mic and not the other microphone. So it would take a bit of setup time and I don't want to do that right now. Sorry about that. But I can set it up for next time. Okay. What did I want to do here? Let's check my notes here. Notes on paper. Loud noise paper. Okay, that's good. Okay, I know what I want to do because I have these what's the name for this? Hierarchical instance static meshes here. So that for the next build, the town will be a lot more performant because it's having a lot less actors to run, and should have proper frames and not kill performance completely. So if I look around here, it's going below 40 in some areas and not below 10 like it was before, so that's a lot better. But I need to do that for the rest of the world as well, because it's only in this level here at the moment and not in the other ones. So let's have a look at that. So let's hide this, and let's just load that level here. And there should be some farms in here. Yep. Let's do the same I did for the town and combine these. So I have 20 selected. At the moment we have 1,365 actors here, because all these are their own actors, and if I combine them, then it should help a lot. So let's convert these instances. They're still there, there's just a visual issue with these sometimes. So if I select all of these, convert all these. I'm not sure why it's doing that, but like I said, it's no issue. They're all still there. And we're already down a few actors here. My crystal ball. Oh, we still have the. This we can. Remove. Let's get the foundation corner here. Select all these. 24, and let's change 24 draw calls into 1. Just click of a button. Eight. And at some point I read that instanced static meshes would have problems with light maps, but that is not true anymore as far as I researched over the weekend. It was on an older version that they had this issue, but no longer. That issue is no longer in there, so it should be okay. So let's convert these. And we have two of these here because I'm using different materials on them. So the material setup for these is different. So here we have plaster and wood. And for these we have just wood. And each of them has its own actor. But it's still a big improvement to just have thousands of actors in here and like that. So 16 should be 1 or 2 maybe. I think 1 for these. No, it's 2. Okay. But we are below 1,000 already. So we have about 200 less actors in the world, less draw calls, stuff like that. So that's good. And I'm going for hierarchical instance static meshes so that I can still use the LODs for these meshes. And I can also jump back into Blender and create awesome looking LOD0 models and then really simplified models for the other LODs. Hello, how are you? I'm fine. Oh, I know what I also wanted to look at today. I wanted to look at the... Where am I using those? Interesting. Oh, there's a tower. Okay. I wanted to look at the free assets. Yeah, a lot of work went into it, yes. I think I have made for the last 5 weeks or so, 4 or 5 weeks, I have constantly made new builds each weekend and always added stuff. And at the moment, I'm trying to optimize the game a bit. And then next step, go back adding in stuff and change these. Thank you for the follow, Quasi TV. Thank you. And welcome. So that I'm still making progress. Even though I heard that I need to change my plans a bit, because I am not allowed to found a company as of yet, because I still need to do a few things before that and need to ask a few people for permission, basically, before I can do that. So the game release will have to wait for a moment. My plans for that are a bit changed, sadly. The thing is, I need to look up that word in English. Okay. I'm in the process of getting into insolvency, and I'm not allowed to found a company when I'm in that process. I need to check with an official that I haven't met yet and talk to them if I'm allowed to found a company to sell the game. But so far I'm not in the stage so that I can meet them yet. We'll all start next month or beginning of next year. So I'm not quite sure how this will work out. So the plans to publish the game this year are not happening, sadly. No, I need to found a company for that. That's the thing. I looked that up, and there are two things that are. The first thing is I'm not quite sure if I want my username, my Steam account connected with the company account, basically. I kind of want to have a difference between the two and then allow myself to speak for the company that I am, basically. But it's still it's a buffer that I want to have between the two. And the other thing is that to sell the game, I can only do that if I have founded a company and have the tax papers for that and stuff like that. As far as I know from people I talk to in the game dev community around here, it seems to be the only way to get my game on Steam, basically. Found a company, then pay the Steam fines, fees, not fines, fees, and then sell the game there. But I need the company first, and since I'm not allowed to do that at the moment, I still need to check if I can do that or not. If not, I will still work on the game, continue working on it, and just not go into. There is kind of, but I still need to file tax papers for that, and since I'm in insolvency at the moment, or starting to get into that, it's a bit more complicated. No, 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 no. The thing is, I talked to people who published the game on Steam. I personally talked to them on game dev meetups in the town I'm living, the city I'm living in. So it's not talking with people on Twitch, but talking with people who published games on Steam, and they told me that's the way to do it. There are a lot of restrictions on that. I'm living in Germany. There's a lot of bureaucracy here, so there are definitely restrictions. Yeah. Um, Nino Ni or Nino Ni. Sorry for butchering your name. Um, it depends. If you have prior knowledge in game development, um, it's just another engine you need to look at and see how it works. If you have no prior knowledge, then it's an engine you need to look at and work through. There are even videos or um, stuff like that. So if you download this, there is a, is it still here? Quick start. There's a Learn tab on the Epic launcher where you can download Unreal Engine. And there was a section Unreal Engine for Unity developers or stuff like that, where they tell you the differences between the two engines and what you need to look out for, um, stuff like that. But not sure, is it on the documentation here? If you go to the documentation on docsunrealengine.com, getting started, then there's a Unreal Engine 4 for Unity developers, and that's a good starting point to change the knowledge you have there. Um, Blueprints is visual scripting. It's you still need to have basic coding knowledge for it. Things like logic and ways how to um, navigate through um, strings of instructions and stuff like that. You need to know what a function is, you need to know what a class is, and basics of that. But from there, it's a faster and easier way to iterate through building everything. I haven't touched any C++ code or any other text code so far in my project, and I'm over 2 years in at the moment, and I haven't touched any actual code. I did everything with blueprints so far. But you still need to know about it a bit. But there are also quick start things. If you're an artist, there's a quick start. If you're a level designer and all that, you get all the terminology and all that stuff. Go through the docs, the documentations and check it out. Go to the engine basics and work your way up from there. Yeah, then you shouldn't have a problem. You don't need to use blueprints. Blueprints are quite useful for level stuff. In specific situations, it's better to use blueprints and not use C++ because it's easier to handle. But you can do a lot of stuff, or you can do all the stuff in C++ if you want to. Yeah, blueprints look like spaghetti if you look at them the first time without any context. But I really like blueprints, and so far, like I said, I haven't touched any code, even though I have also a background in programming. So I have the basics for that. So it's, yeah, you see, this is, blueprints are really nice, but you still need to know how programming works for them. Yeah, you can go into programming quick start and then start from there. Start your first project, write your code. It's all in here. Like I said, have a look at the documentation and pick the area you're proficient with and start from there. Play around with it, and then there's a lot of stuff you can find in the background. It's, as far as I see it, it's for both programmers and designers. Directors, not so much. Maybe slightly, but more for programmers and designers, because in a lot of things in blueprints, like I said, you need to have a grasp of what the basics of object-oriented programming is and stuff like that. So it's, for instance, if simple example, let's see, is this map? No. I think it's in the other map. Yeah, it's in another map here. Let's see. That would be this one. No, it's the one before that. So that would be here, yeah. Here I do have a trigger in the world, so let's, come on, let me select that damn thing. Oh, wrong mode there. I have this ambush trigger, and I could trigger this in the world directly, or I can go into and edit the blueprint, and then in here I have the begin overlap event. So if I'm walking into the trigger, this is called. And then I'm checking if the actor that walked into this is the player with an equal node. And if that's the case, I'm doing other stuff here. Each of these each of these nodes that are connected with the white lines are kind of functions, and this is a variable that you pipe into these functions basically. In this case, I'm doing what's happening at the trigger only once, unless I want to repeat it, and then I'm resetting it. And then I'm checking if I want to use an NPC, and if that's true, I have a reference to my NPC and start the dialogue. If it's not the case, I'm starting the dialogue without an NPC. So without someone to look at, basically. Yeah, it's a node graph. It's it's basically what it is. You have these different nodes. Each of them is either a function or a variable, and or kind of a macro that helps you decide specific things, like the branch or the equal here. But each of these you can, in some cases, go back to the basics and look how they work. Now the thing is, first, hello, Stray Cat Killer. As far as I understood it, Nino Ni is a programmer, and he or she wanted to know if how blueprints worked and what to use if you would jump into Unreal. And I'm only using blueprints for my project. That's why nothing opened at the moment. But if I had created the project with C++, I could go into each of these and change the source code if I wanted to. But as far as I know from what I want to do in my game, there's no real need for jumping into C++, because I can do most of what I want to do, if not all of what I want to do, just in blueprints. So that's why I haven't touched any C++ code yet. If I run into areas where the blueprints don't give me what I want to do, I can go into C++, write the functionality as a function, and then expose it as a blueprint node and use it in my blueprint code, basically. That's the awesome thing that I can do with both of them. In some areas, like I wanted to show you the level scripting. If I look at the level blueprint here, in some cases it's better to use blueprints. Okay, this level is not a good example for that. But I think you can also call the same events or do something with these events in C++. But like I said, I'm not 100% sure about C++ there. I'm quite sure you can do everything in C++, but in some areas, blueprints are just easier to use. If you have functionality that should be in the engine, it's easier to just throw a few blueprints, call them, and be done with it without writing your own code for it. As far as I'm concerned. There might be other opinions on that. But not yet, no. Like I said, I haven't touched any C++ code in Unreal yet. Yes, you can do both. Like I said before, the best way to work with both sides is, from what I heard, not from personal experience, is that you can start with blueprints, and then if you have functionality that you need to run slightly faster or that is not available in blueprints, you can write that in C++ and then use blueprints. The thing is, blueprints are still a form of scripting. So you do have an interpreter, and you need that needs to interpret what you want to do, basically. So it's faster to write that in C++, but not by much. So if you really have a lot of things going on or really difficult calculations and stuff like that, I would say go for C++. If that's not the case, try to do everything in blueprints. I did a bit of programming in... It's not really the same C++, but I did a bit of stuff in the UDK, Unreal Engine 3, and worked with the Unreal script, as it was called, there. And as far as I've seen, it's not much different. Yeah, have fun. I mean, it's proper C++, but it's from the structure of the engine and what you can have access to and stuff like that. It's not much different. But like I said, I haven't touched anything C++ wise on the engine yet, on Unreal Engine 4. So take all what I'm saying with a what's the saying? Pinch of salt? I'm not sure. Grain of salt. Yeah, sorry about that. It felt wrong when I said it, so yeah. Okay, so I was doing something in this level here. Let's hide those two. Because at the moment I'm just going through these levels and combining all the modular assets for each level into one actor, so that I'm kind of optimizing the performance a bit, reducing draw calls and stuff like that. So let's select all of these. And since I'm using the instance tool, which is a really nice plugin that you can get, it's just few check marks here and then click of a button. So for instance, create new actor by material. So if I'm using the same mesh with different materials, but want to combine it into one actor, then it will create different number of actors depending on my material setup here. So for instance, this would create 2, I think. Yeah, we have 2 actors selected. So it created so for this is my setup for the tower. And if I find the other one, the other one should have different materials set up here. I cannot find it at the moment. I need to go through a lot of stuff here. So what's this? Select all of these. Those are a lot. Just this level. Let's make sure that we only have that level there. Okay. So let's combine that into one and have a lot less actors here. Because each actor is one draw call. And if I can combine those, that's a good thing. The only issue is that in some cases I might want to have them separated so that I can do a bit of scripting with it, but for the houses in this area here, it doesn't matter that much. I need to check for the brewery over here if I were to do it the same way. But as far as I know, it shouldn't be much of a problem. Where did we start? We started with 1300 something or 1400. So I removed about 1000 actors already. So 1000 draw calls less. Even though some of them wouldn't have been in the same place, so because of culling, but it's still more performant with this setup. And it's doing proper culling as well, so that shouldn't be an issue. What's happening? Oh, wait, did I not change the mesh for these? I must have missed that one, okay. Okay, 4 of them. Yeah, I think 4 of them might be okay, even though the thing is, they will never be visible at the same time, so I'm not sure if it really helps much with these. So we can combine them, but it doesn't give us much performance boost with it. But let's just do it so that I can add LODs easier, even though, or if I want to change the mesh later, that it's a bit easier that way. So let's convert those. This will definitely help with these, because we have a lot of them in one area that we can see properly. So that's okay. Let's just set these. Okay, so we reduced the number of actors by 90%, I would say. That's a good optimization, I would reckon. So let's do that for the other levels as well. Let's see, there's no tower in here. Okay, there's nothing in this level that we can optimize like that, so let's hide this. Let's check this one. Same for this. And same for that line. Okay, here we have a few towers. And also a few meshes in here, even though there might be more modular pieces on this area here, but at the moment it's not, don't have anything to build these with, so I need to do a proper block out and then see how I can cut this up and work with it. So let's have a look. Okay, we do have a farm in here, so let's select all these pieces. Okay, we have 1660 hectares to start with. Let's see how much we can reduce these. And here we get two of them because, like I said earlier, different material set up here. Because that's the only downside of instances, that you need a different instance if you have a different material set up on them. So if I want to change the material setup of some of these pieces now, will be slightly more difficult. I need to move instances around and stuff like that, but it shouldn't be a big problem. Oh, I need to create chests and all that stuff. And this is going down. It's nice. I'm not quite sure if I get to that today, but next step would be add lighting to the towers, to inside areas, stuff like that. So but like I said, I'm not sure if I get to that today. And I'm doing this for each of the level tiles so that I don't have these loaded all the time, even though it's doing proper coloring um, and all that stuff, but it makes it easier for me to handle each of the levels. The only thing that is kind of breaking for me is the connections to each of these. But could have done this for each building, but it doesn't make much of a difference. Hello, that's Tennyford. Sorry if I butcher any names. So let's convert those. I am working on an exploration adventure game. And at the moment I'm combining um, my towers here into um, instant static meshes for each of the pieces that I'm using. Yes, I'm a solo developer on this game. I have a few things where people sponsored meshes or assets to the game, but um, yeah, it's been a long time, yes. I could have been done by it with a proper team, maybe in a fourth of the time, but I'm doing this on my own, so it takes a bit longer. It's been over 2 years at the moment, so and workday wise, it's day 444. Okay, we have only one roof inside corner here, so we don't need to convert that to an instance. That's not needed. So let's select something else here. This is slightly better. Why can't you do Unreal? What's... A long time ago I did a bit of Java, and I also tried a bit of Python, but that's also a long time ago. Um, in Unreal, I think you can do a bit of Python with a few plugins and changes to the engine, I think. Um, so far, I only used blueprints for this project. I haven't touched um, any C++ yet. Yeah, okay, this might be a level where we can just keep this as a normal static mesh because it's the only one, and if I convert that into instances, it doesn't help at all because it's only one, and it will not give us any performance boost. Oh, that's a good question. Um, I really don't know. I have a few ideas where I want to go with it, but at the moment I'm just working on it, and I wanted to um, publish it into early access, but there are a few things that changed recently that prevent me from doing that. So I need to wait on that a bit. So for the time being, no, it's an exploration adventure game. Let me do this. There will be a few puzzle elements here and there, but it's not the focus. Focus is more on dialogue and world exploration and stuff like that. So it's not um, puzzle focused at all. Yeah, no, it's not puzzle focused. I'm not very good at puzzles, or at creating puzzles, let's call it that. And oh, while I'm in this level, let's fix those floating shrooms here. And I also don't want to create line puzzles. I don't not the biggest fan of them. So there will be really simple puzzles. Pull a lever here, put something on a pressure plate there, and maybe combinations of both, but nothing more complicated than that, I would say. Because, like I said, puzzles are not the focus here. Focus is the world and dialogue and kind of quests in there. So I think I have optimized this. So let's save it. Let's also save these here. It's visible to save. Let's do that. Yeah, it's bigger than it needs to be. Let's call it that way. Few people commented on it being mostly empty. That's kind of true. It is mostly empty, but that's something I'm working on to kind of fill it with content. This is the whole map cut up into different tiles. What's your area of expertise? Are you a programmer? Are you an artist? Are you a designer? Because for each of these, there's a different way to kind of start learning the engine. Okay, so, but there's also a general getting started. Just go through the engine basics and then go from there. Find something that you want to experiment with and jump into that. I think the documentation is really good to start out with. And after that, experiment. Try different things, see how they work. There's also the on the Epic thing, there's the Learn tab, and there's a lot of different things here that are examples of specific aspects of the engine that you can download and take apart and have a look at. a lot of content examples for different aspects, um, and just about everything that you can think of is either here or in video tutorials on YouTube. There's a wiki, there's the documentation I showed you earlier. Just jump in and try it. If it's not for you, there are other engines that you can try and work with. No, it's free. That's the thing. It's completely free at the moment. At the end, if I publish the game, I need to pay royalties to Epic. But everything else, I spent a bit of money on assets that I couldn't create myself. For instance, music, sounds, these trees, and I think a few textures, but the rest I created on my own. So you don't need to spend anything to work with it. And all the things you can use from the examples you can use in your game. Okay, that's your opinion. Then don't. Thing is, I don't play Fortnite because it's not my kind of game, but I like what they are doing with the engine. Yeah, that's the thing. I think those are the conditions. And for my first game, I would, for my first published game, I wouldn't say that I will reach um, over 5K per quarter because I'm a nobody and I doubt that I will get so many people buying the game if I publish it at some point. Which at the moment is a bit of an issue, but talked about that a bit earlier. But the thing is, for Fortnite, they added a lot of really good things optimization wise because you can play Fortnite on almost anything. You can play it on mobile, you can play it on consoles, as far as I know, you can play it on PC. Maybe at some point it will rival Skyrim in ways where you can play it on a toaster or something like that. Because and all the optimizations and all the things that they work on things like Fortnite and stuff like that, it will go back into the engine and you profit from that. So you don't need to like Fortnite, but you get a lot of really nice optimizations and tools in your hand for the engine to use on your projects. That's a really good thing. And Fortnite is popular, Fortnite sells, so they have money to experiment more, which is also a good thing. So they are not um, charging you as a developer, but they give out a lot of free stuff. They recently, just this month, gave out a lot of free assets on the marketplace that you can just download and have a look at. For instance, if we have a look here, they just had this new free content that you can just download and use in your game. For instance, I want to look at these creatures and the animals here and throw them in my game and have a look at it. Yeah. Some of them might not fit the style properly, but it's a step in a direction that could work for me, at least. The thing is, just try it. And I'm not saying Unreal is the best engine. Try Unreal, try Unity, try Godot, try, I don't know, try all the free engines that you can get your hands on and use the one that you like. Play around with that. Create something with it. From what I know, is that Unity is used on a lot of Macs. So Unity is one thing that you could definitely try. And play around with that. Another thing is if you want to go into mobile development, you need a Mac to deploy to iOS devices. You need to use Xcode. I don't like Xcode that much, but I'm not a Mac user myself, so it's a bit of a love-hate relationship in that regard. I would say just try it and see if it doesn't work, try another engine. Okay, so we are at, just finished this. So let's hide that. We also finished the town. Let's see, do we have... Okay, there's a tower and there's a farm here, I think. Yeah. Let's hide all the rest here. Hide selected. Okay. So that in the world outliner we do have only the pieces we need. So let's see. 855 hectares. So, oh, I didn't double check the number of hectares in the other level. We can do that in a moment. those. And I'm sorry if this is a bit boring what I'm doing here. If you have questions about the game or anything, just ask and I can talk on the side, but it's an optimization that I want to do. So I will go through this. Okay, 4 stairs here. Oh yeah. Even though I think yeah, I'm not sure if there's a scenario where we see those stairs. They're not cult. But let's combine them anyway. Makes the number of actors a bit more manageable. And like I said earlier, if it makes it easier if I want to change the mesh completely to something else, then I have one point I'm going into and change that. Okay, have fun. Thank you for the follow. I just noticed one thing that could be really horrible. Because if I want to move one of these buildings I would need to move each of the pieces individually, even though no, I don't need to because I have this instance tool and I can select all of them and then move the whole thing. So it shouldn't be that much of an issue, but without the instance tool it would be horrible to do. But this helps a lot. That's one of the things I bought, for instance, because it really helps. Because what I'm doing here at the moment would take a lot of time otherwise, I would say. Not even sure it's even possible to convert these into instances like that. Six of them. Yeah, I think that would be okay. Two. I think I will combine these, but um, it doesn't give us a lot of performance boost, so I think it reduced maybe one draw call, but we wouldn't have seen those two pieces at the same time, so didn't really give us much. But for these it will help a bit. And we're through. Okay, nice. Save that. And hide it. Here. And there's nothing on this yet. No tower. Nothing like that. So it's also hide persistent level so that we can have a cleaner area here. Can ignore all these folders, but the only thing we have here is the the level bounds and the landscape streaming proxy. So this level is basically empty. So let's save that, hide it. This, and this should also be empty. Same for this. Let's see, do I have anything in this? Probably not. Let's make this slightly faster. Nope. Double check here. Nope. Okay, this I definitely need to change. But that's the outside area here, so I need to add more mountains here basically. Same here. Yeah, I think all of these are empty. Yeah. So let's go this direction. Do we have anything on here? Doesn't look like it. Nope. Nope. Okay, here we have something. It's not much, but at least something we can slightly optimize. Yeah, let's those. Only one. Yeah, no, this. This we don't need to convert to anything, so let's see. Here we do have more than one, so let's convert these to instances. We have only one of those, so we don't need that. two of them, and they will be in two different instances anyway, because they have two different materials, so let's not combine these, but let's have a look, maybe these two. Yeah, let's do that. Also only one. Okay. If it's only one of them, we doesn't get anything from it if we combine it. So just leave those the way they are. Okay, the stairs are also only one of them, I think. Yeah. It's the only building in here. I mean, I could have added a tower in here. Maybe there or so, but at the moment there's nothing. So let's have that. These three pieces. One rock or less, or maybe two. Single piece. Okay, for the rest of these, it doesn't change much if we convert them to these pieces, because it, yeah, they have one draw call. They will have one draw call if I convert them, and I'm not sure if I want to add more of these pieces in here, so it really doesn't matter. I mean, the handling would be slightly easier, but that also isn't much of an issue. Okay, let's see. Save current. This. Okay, now the brewery. Yeah, here I'm not quite sure if I want to handle this, because the moment the brewery is 4,000 hectares. Brewery and the tower here. 2 towers. But I haven't set the right materials for the upper floors yet. For instance here, and I haven't set windows and all that stuff here. It's just a big empty room. So kind of converting this and fixing the upper rooms here could be a bit more difficult, but on the same side, it's not that much more difficult to work with it. So let's do this, because we have 4,000 hectares here, and that's way too much. So let's change that. And I made a big mistake here, so let's undo that. Because I need to be in the right level for this. Because it creates a new actor, and if it's in the wrong level, then it will cause a lot of issues, and I don't want that. So, let's do this now, because now we're in the right level. This is definitely a change. So all the floor pieces will be 1,300. I think 1,390 less draw calls, because I'm not quite sure how many different variations I have in here. I think it's 2, maybe 3, I'm not 100% sure. So convert that. It's 2. And another thing that is easier now is if I want to change the material on my stone floors into another one, then it should be combined. That's something I should have done properly in the town, because the town I do have some floors that I need to remove now and replace with other floor pieces. Because I experimented with a few different materials, but didn't change the experimentation back to the standard and combined them this way, so that's not a good thing. But that's something I need to look through later. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Convert to instances. Oh, that's nice. We already removed so many of these. So I have 2 of those. But they are right next to each other, so let's convert them. So if we look at them from maybe up here, then we have only one draw call there. So it should be okay. So let's do these. Oh, I'm using interior pieces here. Oh, I'm using them down there. Oh, okay. So yeah, I think I definitely need to change those to something a bit more interesting. Okay, here I need to find a better way to do this, I think. Even though I think I already have a better way to do this. Just need to reactivate that script I was using for it. Because I'm not sure if it's setting those properly, because these 2 are movable, and I'm not sure if it's selecting them then, or if it's destroying my setup here. It might, so I might need to change the script for that. Four of them. Let's do that. I think I have a lot of these in here. 8, yeah. Okay. Yeah, here I'm not sure if it will destroy those 2. We will see. Let's select all of them. And yeah, okay, it will change those, definitely. But like I said, that's not much of an issue. I just need to add in the script I had for this, and then restore the functionality of it. So let's combine these. The moment I destroyed my secret doors here, but like I said, that's not much of an issue. Hello. So let's select the rest of these. And we are already 90% down on actors here. That's really nice. Which gives me a lot of space to throw in a lot of um, small assets later. Oh yeah, I can also just combine these. And for these, even though I've only each of, I'm optimizing the maps a bit in the way that I'm reducing actors, reducing draw calls, and stuff like that at the moment. Um, I had about 4,000 actors here, and each actor had its own draw call, and I'm reducing that by just selecting all of them, converting them to instances, and now I have one draw call per instance, which doesn't look that much for these, but um, for the towers, if I'm standing somewhere in the tower and look down, I have only one draw call um, for all the trapdoors, which is better than four I had before. So in some cases it helps, in others it's not really helping. But for instance, for the kitchen stuff here, um, I have only one of each of these, but at some point I will have a lot of them, and I can convert those into instances then, and have only one draw call and have a complete table full with um, 10 different um, cutlery and dish pieces, and have only 10 draw calls but have hundreds of pieces on the table basically. There's a really nice tutorial video on that on YouTube where someone created a asteroid field with, I think, 3 or 4 different rocks, and just has a bunch of draw calls for thousands of asteroids that are flowing around, and it's a really nice thing that is in the engine. And here we got 2 different actors because of different materials on these. is this? Let's also convert this into one. Yeah, go for it. Can't guarantee that I can answer it, but I will try. Okay, these tables here already instanced. Oh, I think they are. Okay. So the table down here might need to remove. Wait. Oh, okay, that's the grill piece over here. Let's delete those two. Don't need those. And the table, I need to look into that. Training room, player facilities. Make sure that your training room level is selected in the build queue for the engine. Then also make sure that everything is compiled properly. Not sure. Yeah, check your build log. Check, like I said, check the levels that are in your settings, project settings, and packaging levels to build. Which reminds me, I need to change this. I need to move this so I can just type in new path here. Even though I don't need this anymore, but make sure that the levels are in there. If you use this list of maps to include in the package build, it could be that. It could be that it's doing that some of the scripts are not working or have dependencies that you don't see in editor, but that do not really work in a build. So what you can do is do the cook content and then launch the level or the game and see if everything works fine there, and then go through the logs and see what's wrong on it. Apart from that, without seeing what you're doing in your scripts, I don't know, to be honest. Okay, so these I only use one of each, so I think this is the best we can optimize here at the moment. Yeah, like yeah, check logs, try to launch it. Apart from that, I'm not that familiar with the inner workings of the engine. I think it's good idea to join the what are they called? Unreal Slackers or so? Yeah, Unreal Slackers Discord. And then ask for stuff there. This is the Unreal Discord where you can ask questions. You can also go through the forums and see if someone has similar issues to that. But check your logs, check if it's running in launch mode. Try different modes here as well to run the game and see if that helps. And like I said, check your project settings and see if the level might not be in here properly. So what could happen if the level is not in here is that the scripts connected to that level are ignored and do not run properly as a result. But it depends on your build settings and all that stuff. So could be different for you. Okay, let's save this. Okay, there's no tower here. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Check your world settings and the game mode that you're in. If you haven't set up the default game mode in your project settings, it could be that there's a different game mode needed for that specific level. And for each level, you can change it here, or you go into project settings and maps and modes, and you can set the default there. Those are basically the same settings here, but if I want to override the game mode in specific levels, I can do that in here. But I have it set up here, project settings, maps and modes, default modes, and then I have my game mode here, my default pawn, my default hut, the player controller, and these I'm not using, but they are standard things here. Then I have the startup map and all that stuff. So check those and then see if there might be an issue in there. Okay. Yeah, I already did this level. I think I have done all the levels in here now. Troll chest. Yeah, because there's nothing in these at the moment, so I think I'm done with that optimization step here. Let's save all these levels, and then for tomorrow I will... Yeah, I think I will jump in and have a look at the free free creature asset packs that I got from the marketplace and see if I want to add some of those creatures into the world to fill it a bit with life. And then I need to go back into the town and do a bit of tedious fixing there for some of these areas here. For instance, if I go here, you can see that I used two different types of material here, so I have two different assets for these now, two different actors. Hmm. Yeah, like I said, beyond that, I'm not sure what it could be. Yeah, like I said, try the forums. Maybe they can help you there. Um, or try the Discord group and also try to launch it um, in standalone mode and see if it's there or not. Um, Change a few small things and do another um, do another build, another package, and see if there was an error on the last one, and try it again this way. I don't know. Okay, but I need to stop for today because it's getting late and I need to get up early. And then check out a few things there. Why is this? Oh, this is not good here. I need to fix those areas. I might do these tomorrow first and then need to check out the creatures after that. So see you tomorrow. Bye bye.